Welcome to Popcorned Planet. I am Andy Signore, and we are live. Thank you to everybody who's joining us. Let's get to this main event because we have a special guest here for you all. So happy to have Christopher Melcher with us live on a Thursday. It's Thursday. Oh my gosh, I'm losing track of my days still. Christopher, thanks for being here.
Well, thanks for having me, Andy. I'm kind of surprised to see this story back in the news.
I am too, and let's not delay this any longer. Let's get right to the news because when I saw this, I was like, wait, what? What's happening? Guys, an appellate judges raised doubts about Harvey's conviction. Several judges on the panel appeared open to considering reversing Weinstein's conviction and ordering a new trial. Now, this is just hard. I mean, first Bill Cosby. Oh, that was all bullshit. You're out. And now Harvey's going to seemingly get the same treatment. This just seems like a slap in the face to all victims. At the same time, could he be innocent, Christopher? What is happening here? Please, I'm going to go through some of this article as well, but what is your sort of official summary of how realistic is this? What should we be concerned about? Could we have been wrong?
Well, there's no insinuation by the appellate court that he's innocent. The issue that they're raising is the fairness of the trial. So Harvey was accused of having harmed several people, but there were others that were brought to testify to talk about how he treated them. And that is a thing that can be done in a criminal trial, but they have to be very careful with it. And one of the overarching points that I want to make here is that it's very easy to make up rules or make excuses when we hate somebody. So when we hate somebody like Harvey Weinstein, we think, this is ridiculous, bring in all the evidence, this guy's guilty, lock him up, throw away the key, and we don't care too much about the process in which that happened because we don't like him. But what we need to remember is that any one of us could find ourselves falsely accused of something and be criminally charged. That happens. And so we want the rules to be fair because we might have to suffer by them. And so the main rule is that if you're charged with harming somebody in a criminal case, that victim, if they're still alive, gets to testify. But generally, other people that you've harmed in the past don't, because we're being charged with that crime, not with things that we've done previously. Because you could imagine if you were being falsely accused of something and you were going to testify in your defense and saying like, hey, I didn't do this and it's my word against theirs, you might do okay in that battle. But if they're able to bring up all the other embarrassing and horrible things that you've done in your life, then the jury might say, hey, well, because you did those other things, you must be guilty of this thing. And it's very prejudicial and confusing to the jury, and it makes it perhaps too easy to convict. They did it in this case, I think, properly for the other women who testified, because this was part of a what they call an MO or modus operandi. This was a process that Harvey did to lure people to victimize. And so that's the purpose that they brought these other ladies in to testify, not to prejudice him, but to show that this was not a mistake. This wasn't a confusion. Oh, I thought that, we were having some consensual act here. This was done to show, no, this was this guy's plan. This was his sick plan. But the appellate court wasn't having it. They thought that it was pile-on, overkill, prejudicial, too much, not necessary, and they didn't decide at this hearing whether to reverse, but it doesn't sound good based on the comments that were made by the appellate justices. They were not happy.
So basically, as I'm gathering what I'm seeing in this article as we go through and what you're saying here, so what happened was they allowed witnesses to come in and sort of speak on behalf of just sort of how awful Harvey was in general. An example of like his brother, right? His brother, or there was some argument where he was beat up his brother or something. There were a lot of incidents that sort of weren't connected, seemingly weren't connected to what the charges were. and the judge was allowing all of this sort of to come in. Let's inflame the jury's heart by telling him that he beat up his brother during a meeting. I just don't see how there's a balance there on that. Challenging a lawyer from district attorney's office who implored the judges up to hold the conviction. That's there to protect all of us, is what you're saying. It's a good point of like, you know, just because we hate this man and we believe he's guilty, and I do believe he's guilty for the record. But, you know, they threw everything at him, but there are protocols and obviously laws that we must, that these lawyers and judges must follow. And there's now a question as to whether all this evidence that came forward was actually relevant. Now, in some places you're saying, Christopher, it is like certain courts and states, you can do that. In certain cases you can't. Do you feel like they just didn't do their job correctly and they thought that because everyone hated Harvey, they were just going to let them get away with this? Or is this actually going to potentially cause some serious trouble because they didn't do it by the book, and now this man could get retrialed and, just like Cosby, get away with some stuff because they thought they could just do it?
Yeah, I think it's okay. The other women who testified seemed to demonstrate that this was part of a plan that Harvey had to lure people into, a private setting where he could take advantage of them. And to me, it was relevant. It was directly related to the claim that he's a predator. So I didn't necessarily have a problem with that. I think that the attorney who was arguing on behalf of the prosecution at the appellate hearing didn't necessarily get it right or convince the appellate justices in the right way, because she was saying, well, hey, these other ladies needed to testify to show that it wasn't consensual. Well, and the appellate justice flipped back very quickly. It's like, well, your victims, the three that testified, already were capable of saying this was not consensual. So that wasn't the point of it. The point of it was that Harvey acted willfully with an intention to harm these people. This was not a, hey, let's go back to the room and thought, oh, hey, I thought this was consensual. I thought this is where this was heading. No, because he did the same thing or very similar thing to other people, it shows, or a jury could find that it shows that this was a plan, a method of operation, that this wasn't a mistake or coincidence. And the same thing with Bill Cosby. The same type of evidence was presented of other people that he did similar things to. So this is possible, but it has to be strictly followed. And I think the thing that set the appellate court off is the brother's testimony, because there was evidence presented by the prosecution that Harvey beat up his brother, who, worked together at Miramax and then at the Weinstein Company. And to show like this is a violent guy, he's beating up his own brother. Well, that has nothing to do with this case. And the fight with the brother wasn't about these victims or women. Unfortunately, the brother didn't stand up for them. He said, I didn't even know that he was doing that. I thought he was having affairs. They were fighting over control of the company. So that has nothing to do. Should never have been brought into the criminal case. And it kind of then made it look like the appellate court said, you're just piling on to this guy. If the fight was about, hey, Harvey, my brother, you need to stop doing this to people, okay, then it is relevant. But it was an unrelated fight and they brought it in. It was totally unnecessary. I mean, they have enough against the guy with the three people who he was accused of harming. And this is, like I say, we've covered so many trials. We see this and it's very frustrating. It's like, why isn't the judge letting these people testify? Why is the judge doing all these sidebars? Why is the judge cautioning the prosecution? Well, it's because it's not good enough to get the conviction. You have to survive the appeal. And so this is why it's hard to do a criminal trial. And the rules are there not to allow powerful men to escape justice. It's there to protect us, the weak people who don't have millions of dollars to hire attorneys, to make sure we are not falsely accused or convicted of something we didn't do.
Yeah, and just so this all, as the article here, this stems from a New York rule shaped by a landmark decision in 1901 poisoning case, now are more restrictive. But Weinstein's lawyers argued that the extra testimony went beyond what's normally allowed, detailing motive, opportunity, intent, or common scheme or plan, and essentially put the ex-studio boss on trial for crimes he wasn't charged with and hadn't had the opportunity to defend himself against. Now, look, I hate this man, but I understand why this is in place, Christopher, right? This is to protect us all. So you're on trial for the crime at stake. However, motive, all this stuff is irrelevant of how is this person, but bringing up things about his arguments with his brother that don't have to do with this specific incidents is sadly troubling to hear. Burke's ruling allowing prosecutors to use horror stories from Weinstein's past to attack his credibility worked to prevent him from taking the witness stand, Weinstein lawyer told the appellate panel. The jury was overwhelmed by such prejudicial bad evidence. This was a trial of Harvey Weinstein's character. The people were making him out to be a bad person, which I do believe he is. He clearly was, but that's the problem. Is that tainting the view of did he do these specific crimes he's charged with, right? Commons also challenged Burke's refusal to remove a juror who had written a novel involving predatory men, as well as his decision to allow prosecutors to have an expert on victim behavior and myths to testify while rejecting testimony on similar subjects from defense experts. He was sentenced to 23 years in state prison in New York, did not attend Wendy's argument. Now, my next question being, he's now in California, right? He has all these other charges, 5 other women in LA who have accused him of obviously terrible things. Now, as we're hearing this, horrified, thinking what's going to happen, could he get out? Is it sort of a non-issue because even if this sort of gets redone, they have a second chance in LA where he's going to get tried and probably proven there instead, in which case, all right, whatever, they're going to go by the book and maybe he gets his New York thing convicted, or could the New York, overturn affect his LA case? What are your opinions on the future of Weinstein's legal problems?
Yeah, Harvey's not going anywhere. So he was convicted in the New York case and sentenced, and then he was extradited to LA County, where he's facing unrelated charges. And so right now he's sitting in a LA County jail. And his trial in the LA case won't be held for a year. And then if he's convicted of that, he would remain in custody on that case, and it would be years before he, any resolution of an appeal of that matter. So even if the New York one has to be reversed, he's still on the hook for LA. And even if New York is reversed, it's not a get out of jail free card. It's a redo. So a reversal on these grounds wouldn't mean, oh, he's innocent. It's like, no, the prosecution put on too much evidence that was prejudicial, that gave a reasonable question of whether he had a fair trial. So we're going to give him a new trial. So they would just redo it, and it's not going to be like a Cosby where, hey, you're done. They would just redo it. So Harvey's not going anywhere. I think that the lesson is, for all of us is this, that, we don't like this guy. We want him to be put away. It's good that he was put away, but could the prosecution have done it with just the victims? And if they needed these other people, which I think they probably did, and I don't have any problem with them calling the other ladies, to testify to show that this was part of a scheme or plan on his part. It just has to be done very cautiously to make sure that the evidence is not an overkill, so it isn't overturned on appeal. We need to protect these convictions.
Yeah, there's a lot of research you can go look at. I mean, he's guilty. That's what's frustrating me, Christopher, because it felt like this was an easy case to prove. And all those previous stories and things they all connect to the character of why we all know this man's guilty. He definitely abused power. He definitely was preying on people. He was definitely using his influence to do things. Now, the question was he doing things non-consensually? It's almost crystal clear to me that he was, because he was putting these women like, do you want to roll in this movie? Well, you got to do this. And in a way, those are easy lines crossed that could put him in a situation. And the fact that he was doing it so often with so many accusations, I don't believe all those women were lying. There's no way. There's too much out there. If you really go dig into this case, like Harvey's a monster. He deserved it. And he's what started all of this, the Me Too and everything, all the witch hunts. It's all. I was exposed right after him because everyone was just, oh, Hollywood is all Harvey Weinstein's, but I don't believe they all are. But he was, to me, the pinnacle of what the worst of Hollywood was. And what was so frustrating, Christopher, is they allowed it for so long. So many people in Hollywood knew what he was doing. They were okay with it. They endorsed him. All these actresses that would go up and accept rewards knew his behavior, but sort of shrugged it off because, oh, Harvey, it's a disgusting thing. And I think everyone was aware and no one was surprised. And that's part of the problem, I think, with this case. So to hear like, oh, well, now he's going to get out. It's like, yet again, a slap to these victims of just like, do these people ever actually pay for the crimes that they do? It's really discouraging. So what's your advice out there for obviously frustrated viewers that are saying, God damn, and Cosby got out, now this guy got out. It seems like the evidence was just so clear. What is your advice out there to people who are just frustrating this? I guess he's still going to pay his crime. He's still not going to get away with this.
Yeah, this guy's locked up. First in a New York jail, now in an LA jail. He's not going anywhere. He's disgraced. He's in custody. So he's paying. And like I say, it's hopefully we all learn from this not to tolerate this kind of behavior and to let people get away with this and to allow other victims the space to come forward safely without fear that they're going to be exposed and criticized and doubted. And I'm hoping that we'll learn from all this and do better. But yeah, he's not going anywhere. It's not going to be a Cosby. Cosby was a very particular situation because of the idiotic deal that this prior prosecutor had made with him, or statements that the prosecutor made. So Cosby is a completely different situation. This dude will die in jail.
Do you think this Walker thing is real, or is this all still him just trying to like make people feel sorry for him?
I don't know. I mean, it's to me, it's not a good look. It doesn't. I think he would look more sympathetic in a wheelchair. He looks almost more ominous or in the walker for some reason.
Yeah, like, hey, I'm your creepy uncle. It's just a weird. But that is a tactic some people do, right? To appeal to the audience or the people, the jury. Oh, have give me mercy because look how frail and I mean, Maxwell just did it. She's too frail to testify. Christopher is the latest excuse we're hearing. I mean, that is a tactic some of these people use. Correct?
Oh, sure, because he doesn't want to make himself look dangerous, but it just I think if that was his plan, he would be more advised to be in a wheelchair because the guy's still ambulatory here.
Right.
So I don't know. He because I don't want to judge people on how they look and stuff like that, but
he looks awful.
we're going to judge him on his conduct.
Correct.
And his conduct's awful, and he's exactly where he needs to be, in jail.
Well, there you go. So frustrating to hear, but happy to hear Christopher's honest breakdown of what's actually happening with this case. So frustrating, nerve-wracking. However, it doesn't seem like we have to cause alarm bells because the LA case is still going to sink them. And now they obviously, I imagine they're going to be more careful in that LA case, knowing what just happened in New York. It was almost a test case. LA case is now even going to be even more onto it. This is going to be a hard thing for him to bat away. Like he's going to be serving time for the rest of his life.
Yeah, they're going to definitely learn from that, and and so like I say, he's not going anywhere. Nothing to worry about. It's just a lesson, just to understand. Like criminal trials are a serious thing. We're taking away people's liberties, and we have to honor the rights of the accused because we may find ourselves being accused. That's the main reason why I'm looking at this is just that I've defended people in criminal court who are innocent, and we have to protect those. We have to make sure we protect ourselves.
Again, just because we're reacting to this with fairly, it's because we have to protect due process for all of us. So he's completely right. So I'm glad we could cover that as honestly. Guys, if you haven't already, please go subscribe to Christopher Melcher's YouTube channel. In fact, hold on. I thought I had it up here before I let him go. I want to make sure you guys see it because incredibly important to go give him some more follows. Anything else you got brewing, Christopher?
Well, we're always watching Brittany, and that's not over yet. So we'll be doing more work on Brittany's case until it's over.
In fact, I will tease it. We have a video I'm maybe dropping next week. Is Brittany actually free? Sadly, I'm very nervous after the conversation I just pre-taped with Christopher because, guys, she's not. What's up with that? We talk about that in general and in depth. So you're not going to want to miss that one. We'll be loading that one next week. Also, check out his channel. Make sure to hit subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you, as always, for being here, Christopher. We're still live. Don't go anywhere. I'm just letting Christopher go, and we're going to be trimming this for the sake of YouTube. But always good to see you, sir. Enjoy the rest of your day, your weekend, your holidays. We love you here. Thanks again for being here, my man.
Thanks, Andy.
All right, there he is, Christopher Melcher, the boss. Check out his channel. Go subscribe to him. Always a pleasure to be here. If you haven't already, make sure you hit subscribe to his channel and my channel here. Hit the bell for all alerts. Smash that like button and leave a comment down below to help us with the algorithm.